different reasons it's important for the incorporation of Telefónica as an official sponsor this year and Movistar to the Film Festival in San Sebastián. This has been a great help in these complicated times to have a new companion on the way, which guarantees and helps that the festival continue to be the audiovisual appointment that you're seeing at an international level over these few days. Secondly, because it's very important for projects like Telefónica Studios can be shown within the framework of the film festival. All of the projects that support the production and participate in the production and are reinforcing and supporting Spanish cinema for us are not only important but are indispensable. And I insist that a moment like this, which is complicated, though fortunately with the impression that we all have that things are starting to relax and get better, and probably in the next few years, in the future, the economic crisis can be slowly but surely reduced. It's very important there are people that wager in favor of production, as is in Telefónica studios, because this will always be a significant help for Spanish cinema. And after these thanks, I want to give the floor to Ignacio Fernández Mera, Global Director of Content Matter of Telefónica Digital. Thank you very much. First of all, for us, it's a genuine privilege to be able to form part, as José Luis was just mentioning, of the festival. And for us, it's also, we're very proud to come along today and to tell in the most open way possible that we're going to present today Telefónica Studios. It's a project that links, and Telefónica is taking another step forward in its link with creators, producers, and directors, and also with the distribution of audiovisual works, not only of our country. Telefónica, you must understand, it's a company which, for quite a few years back now, we have operated in television paid television services. We're working in Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, and Chile. We are also in Argentina. We are in Spain, in Germany, in Czechia, in Slovakia, in the UK. And the truth is, for us, it's very important that when we're talking about Telefónica Studios, you must understand that we're also talking about the distribution of all the productions in all of these different countries. For us, therefore, it's very relevant and important to be able to say to our customers that we're going to get involved in creativity, be it in Spain as well as in the rest of the countries, and they're going to have the possibility of enjoying exclusive content matter in all of our payment, TV by payment television services. To be the sponsors of the International Film Festival here in San Sebastián and to talk about Telefónica Studios and to have Axel sitting next to us to give us more details, the only thing I would like to do is that in 1 minute, quite briefly, explain with a video where we are, what we've done, and why we're here today. So therefore, could you project the video? Thank you. The productions that you've just seen are productions that we are addressing from different companies within the group. We are working in Argentina through Telefe, and in the rest of the countries in Latin America through a company which is called Media Networks, in Spain through Telefónica Móviles in España, Telefónica Productions, Telefónica de España, and Telefónica Móviles España. All of these companies are not going to lose their reference. But with one single brand, we want to link it all together and to communicate it in a much more efficient way to the market. All of these productions that you've seen today will be in Movistar Televisión, which is the commercial brand that we use for our payment television services. And without getting further in depth, I'm going to give the floor to Axel Kujovaska, who's in charge of Telefónica Studios. Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Nacho. This video that you've just seen, I think, is useful to see that put something on the table that's not too clear on the market. That many of the films that you've seen have had Telefónica as an active partner from the creative standpoint, essentially from the development standpoint. Practically, we've all seen the adventures of Tadeo or The Secret in Their Eyes, very successful films that have globally worked very well and very interestingly. Some cases, more than 35 countries in the case of Tadeo, or in the case of The Secret in Their Eyes. Films, just like Nacho said, different companies within the group, we have participated in them. In the last 5 years, we've made more than 25 films or participated in them. And there are many more ahead, and our commitment, as the video said, is to make 25 films in the coming 3 years. And not only there's that objective in mind, we have another objective, especially in the Spanish market, that's to generate TV series and to promote them as something in most of the country where the company operates due to law issues or legal issues. We want to see how we can convert a legal obligation into a profit. How can we turn things around and that something that's obliged by the law can turn into films that can connect with a local audience as well as to the global audience? Our feeling is that if we are approximately making 12 films per year approximately, we are participating in the same amount of films as some of the Hollywood studios in the terms of volume, not in terms of investment, because they've got much more money than we have. What can I say? But at least in volume, terms of volume. That's interesting because, just like Nacho said, the capacity of the company itself in order to communicate is quite deep and powerful. If we manage that the platforms in the company can be used so that in Brazil they can see the films that we're making, for example in Spain, so that in Spain they can see the films that we're making in Peru, I think that we're going to start to have a scenario which is even much more interesting. And on the other hand, the reality is that the link between Spain and Latin America, and I'm more Argentinian, and Spain and Argentina in terms of producing cinema is very deep and very solid. And it's marvelous the situation we have. The Argentinian films that are being presented this year in this festival are all co-productions. And it seems that's a piece of information which is very important and very interesting to where we can help in this journey of content matter from one country to another country. Oh, my alarm just got switched on. These things that the technology has. I would like to demonstrate and show you some of the things that we're going to do and what's going to be premiered and what's already been premiered and released in Argentina as well as in Spain of our last and up-and-coming projects. And we've got more videos for you to see so that we can enjoy ourselves. And now, let's see the other side. Now, let's see the situation in Spain. to quickly give you an overview, and I'm going to tell you, in the specific case of Argentina, Telefes, the big producer for cinema, this actually 9 out of every 10 people that saw Argentinian cinema in Argentina saw Telefe films. And the titles that we've had premiered this year, the Thesis of a Homicide, one by Belén Reda, a film that's going to be premiered and released in Spain, Futbolín, Fútbol, that I want to thank. It's been a pleasure, a limitless project of this level. Had the honor of inaugurating a festival like this, so therefore thank you very much. I feel like a child when I say this, but it's a film like Corazón de León by Simón Flanchella, 1,600,000 viewers. A film like Séptimo is 700,000 people have seen it. This year the films that we made in Argentina have achieved a record of 5,400,000 people have seen the films, and the year's not finished yet. One of the films is participating in Horizontes Latinos, or Latin Horizons, Mardino Borgona, which has been sold to more than 25 countries. The truth is, and I'm not going to talk about football, which is starting to go around the world just after the San Sebastian Film Festival. In the future, next year, we're going to have the return of Laliana Sinfron, of the simulators, and the brother detectives, the directors of Tiempos Valentes with new film, Relatos Abajos, which is co-produced by KIS and El Deseo. So Pedro Almodóvar continues to, is going to work with Telefónica again. He comes back to work with us. That didn't sound too bad, did it? And in the future, amongst other things, we got a film. We've got several films which are very interesting. Amongst them, the new film by Pedro Fendrick, El Ardor, with Galen García Berzal and Alice Braga, a film which is co-produced from Argentina with France, Mexico, and Brazil. We're going to have the first half of the year it's going to be very energetic. In the case of Spain, in the future, what we expect is a continuation, well, a lot of premieres that we're very happy to see, starting with Gran Piano, the film produced by Adrián Guerra and Cortés. Its characteristic is that it's opened the Austin Film Festival with excellent critique, and it's going to inaugurate Sitges Film Festival. It's a film with John Cusack and Elijah Wood. And then we're going to continue ahead, obviously, with premieres such as in the case of Fútbol or Futbolín, which is going to be released in December, in the case of Séptimo, which is going to be released in August. And then in next year, there are going to be other premieres that we're looking forward to, like A Night in Old Mexico, the second film. As a director that I personally wager in favor of. He's a guy who has marvelous sensitivity, and he's in the back. Emilio Aragon, please say hello at least. He's at the back there. And Global Media, for example, we're also working not only in cinema products, but also TV products. So therefore, once again, Telefónica Studios, its vocation is to add different parts together and to make sure all this content matter and many others that we're going to tell you over time. We can't obviously tell you everything now, but so they can go around the world, they can be completely global, and we will have the capacity through the company, and it's to transmit emotion and to relate people from different parts of the world. The San Sebastian Film Festival, apart from the inauguration with Futbolín or Fútbol, and the presence of Wacolda, the German element, there's a documentary which also forms part of the Legal Frank, which is going to be seen today. You can see today. And it's an excellent film. That sounded very Argentinian. It's very good. And then, we also have a vocation of telling very different stories to very different people in very different formats, and connect emotionally with the people who watch the films, the audiences. Another thing that we also believe in, and that forms part of our working philosophy, and that is to support in time talent sustainably, directors, producers, as well as actors. Obviously, it's much easier to do a video with actors because people know their faces. So therefore, we've got a video to show you some of the protagonists of the films that we've made and that you're going to be able to see very soon. So that's what we wanted to tell you about today. We wanted to give you a quick overview. Personally, I want to thank all of our co-production partners that we're fortunate to work with. I'm going to mention a few names. Fortunately, we can work with Telecinco and Antena 3, with Televisión Española, with Tornasol, with KIS, with Simbaro, Juan José Campanella's film productions, Plura Semsa. So therefore, we're very fortunate, and due to the nature of the company that allows us to do this, to be able to play with everyone. And as the North American, let's do some cherry picking of what we believe is much more interesting, and in turn, to be able to participate in the creative process. And this, I want to make quite clear, Telefónica is not only, Telefónica Studios is not a financial entity, it's a co-producer in the fully fledged sense of the word. And obviously, all of the content matter are going to be able to be seen on Movistar.tv. And without further ado, and the objective that we had today, I think we have fulfilled it, trying to explain to you what Telefónica Studios is, and that for us it's very important, which is very important for us, and do it in a forum such as this, in the festival, San Sebastian Film Festival, which is the best one to direct ourselves to, who want to direct ourselves to. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please, we'd be really glad to answer your questions. Yes, please. Congratulations for the project. I interviewed Jesus de Polanco when Canal Plus was coming out. I said, did you think that was going to be a business, being open and free TV? And he said, he said yes, and I thought no. And there was 1 million sponsors or viewers on Canal Plus. And then I thought that in this country nobody read books, and it turns out that Lara is one of the guys who's the wealthiest persons in this people in this country. And I know that Telefónica, quite fortunately, doesn't do things free of charge. And it's opened up my heart when you said cinema has a future. Do you think it has a commercial future? Does it has a future as an audience in this moment of economic crisis, because Telefónica is getting involved in this business, albeit it's almost obliged? Well, we have believed, and as Axel was mentioning, I think that we, or at least the vision that we've had, is to have maintain a low profile. That is to say, we've worked in productions, as we've been able to see over time. No one's been aware of the fact that we were behind these co-productions. Well, I'm not only talking about cinema, I'm also talking about fiction. We've not talked about this, but one of the premieres that people have been talking about for a long time, Isabel, is a co-production with Telefónica Studios. And the last season, and To Love in Times of Turmoil. So therefore, we're in the moment we could feel comfortable and communicate this now, and to create under an umbrella brand, Telefónica Studios. How do we make these investments profitable? We said this before. We, apart from this, in the projects, what we put up on the table as a fundamental part is the capacity to communicate that a company like ours has. the capacity to distribute, because we operate payment TV services in many countries. We don't only focus about Spain. As I said before, we operate not only in Latin America, but also in other European countries. And as well as this, we have a relation with third parties that help us to help us in that distribution in those countries that we don't have a base. So therefore, we believe it's important to do this. We think that there's a lot of talent in all of the countries that we're involved in, and we have the strength and the capacity to do so, we believe. I'm sorry, we can't get the question. We can't hear the question without a microphone. I have no doubt in my mind, otherwise we wouldn't be here. We believe it can be a business, otherwise we wouldn't have not invested, and we wouldn't invest. And Alex wouldn't say that we've got a future ahead of us, and it's a commitment that we're acquiring, and we're not, like on many occasions, and as has been mentioned many occasions, just another producer or co-producer in the market. So therefore we invest, and we believe why we invest. John Hopwell from Variety. I've got three questions. One is, could you remind us of what the legal obligation is in investment? And secondly, it seems that, just as you've said quite well, in Spain, you've used several or many companies to carry out investment in cinema, and whether they're going to focus not only under that brand or umbrella, or an oversight the Telefónica, of Telefónica Studios. Are you going to invest directly in the future, doing what you've done in the past, as a low profile in other companies? And thirdly, Ignacio, you mentioned many companies in Latin America like Chile, Peru, Venezuela, Colombia, and some of them are very advantageous vis-a-vis the possibilities of investment. Whether you contemplate countries where you've not got Telefe, for example, the possibility of entering as co-production partners in these other countries. One thing is in the obligation. So we've got the obligation in Spain that the investment is 5% of the revenue linked to the TV business, and TV in the ample sense of the word, via payment TV. Telefónica is not only, you can not only see it at home through the technology and pay TV, but the OTT, that is, it's available in tablets and mobiles and any other device that allows it to be seen. Can you say how much this was for last week? I mean, let me answer the other way. We invest more than what is truly necessary. If we believe in a project, we invest, and we go, how much is necessary? I'm not going to let you get away. What's necessary? How much is necessary? Well, necessary is what we're doing today. Just as I was saying before, we've got a profile up until a very low profile up until now. What we've done is to take on the projects that and projections that Axel said through Spain, and he said we produced through, that is to say, the companies that are producing at present are not going to stop producing. Telefe is going to continue to be a reference in Argentina as a production company. What we're trying to do, and as you know quite well, the cinema projects are carried out via different means and via different companies. It doesn't matter what the group that executes it or implements it, but it's another thing whether they communicate this via big brands. What we're trying to do is to be able to leverage the efforts carried out in productions carried out in other countries, and take them to a higher level. That is to say, to make sure that the production that had lower repercussion in a specific territory allows us to use funds from our own group in another country, and to be able to give it another impulse. that is to say, Futbolín or Foosball. It's a film where the project as a co-production was carried out from Telefe. In Spain, we are backing it from Telefónica de España, from Movistar Television, so that they can have a greater repercussion. The film can have a greater repercussion in our country. We can do this because we're working through an umbrella brand, which is Telefónica Studios, but we don't want at any time to lose that reference that each and every one of the companies have in each of the different countries. In the specific case of Argentina, the legal obligation of the open TV channels is 8 films per year. That's a legal obligation of volume and not of investment in figures. In the case of Spain, it's 5%, as Nacho just said. And it's also true that, as I was saying, we are aware of the fact that in countries like Brazil or any other ones, or the other ones that you mentioned, the profits or the fiscal aid is quite relevant as well. So it's one of the advantages that a group of us, like us, has, that operates in each and every one of the countries that we've mentioned. Also, we also invest above what is obliged legally, which is the other question that you were asking, John. We don't know what the obligation is still yet, but it's quite possible in Brazil that you're going to invest. In Brazil, in Colombia, as you've said quite well. Yes, definitely. Why? Okay. Hi. Hi, how are you? A question as regards to the content matter, the contents. So first of all, that the umbrella is going to be Telefónica Studios, and within that umbrella brand, there's going to be co-production, but not only financing or funding, but co-producer with all of the. Yes, that's the model that we've always carried out. So therefore, we're going back to another issue, which I think that has to be rescued the most, and that is the resurging of work from genre, as of genre films. The question, therefore, specifically, is what are the guidelines of Telefónica Studios when deciding I can produce this and I don't produce that? Well, the analysis essentially has to do, and I'm going to say it in this way, with what's the story, what's the narrative that's being proposed. Definitely, this is one of my own credos, but it's also a credo of the team work. I believe in genre films as a tool, but we're interested in authors of genre films. We're interested in those people that can use the genre film tools to make personal type films. I can say the specific director, like Juan Panela, is a specific case of these. The Secret in Their Eyes, quite clearly, is a genre film. Practically all of the projects that we're doing at present have as a base genre film. The new reasons that we're doing this are what projects do we feel have the capacity to move and connect to the audience and of traveling, because that's the reality. If there are no films that can be conceived as being local, we know that these are films that have the capacity to be exported. We're interested in the crossing over of content matter between many different countries. I'm sorry, we can't hear the question now. Well, just the same in any creative process or any producer. In the creative process, we sit down, we work upon the script, we take notes in the editing, we talk as well. But quite clearly, there's an issue which is the famous leap of faith. When we decided to work in a specific project, it's because we know who's telling the story and how they're telling the story and which way they're going, what direction they're taking. That's a normal process in the development of a project. We don't feel, well, the bad monster is going to come out and we're going to take the final cut away from the director. No, not at all. The direct answer is we form part of the creative team in each project. And another issue, which is also important, we have another advantage, and that is that we also have the input of all of the customers as regards to the demand of video through our distribution systems. We know what the audience is demanding at each moment. That's also a reference when developing it and also communicating the project, not only to understand essentially what elements of the films what draw people's attention, but we also like to undertake risks and make films that not necessarily are a sure bet. This business it's a risk. Otherwise, if one accepts it, that's the way we go. I'm sorry, we can't hear the question. No, quite often the films open the way and direct us the way we're going. I'm sorry, we can't hear the questions. There are productions that are going to be made which others, due to the people are going to download them on the internet. How are you going to solve or try to solve this? How are you going to work with the authority? Telefónica is going to talk with the authorities so that we can vary this, so they can people download things on the internet. I think this isn't the right forum to talk about this, but I would like to say that Telefónica has spent a lot of time investing in content matter. Quite probably we're not aware of the fact that Telefónica has 22% of Digital Plus, and I think that's a reference in our country. It has 100% of what formerly was Imagenio, Movistar television, and it has customers on the mobiles. It has internet customers, and I was saying we've been producing for many years. The only thing we've done today is to mention it, organize it, and to confirm that our we're wagering on the long term. If what you're asking me is that there are people that are not doing what's correct, there's a regulator there that has to know how he redirects the situation, how we're regulated constantly, but I can't be a cop or a policeman at the end of the day. Good afternoon. I'm going to stand up so that you can see me, okay? Elis Perez is my name. I'm the DG for cinema of the Dominican Republic. We have a new law of incentives. It's only 2 years. It's only been applied or implemented it existed at 2 years. It's been applied for the last year and a half. We made 4 or 5 years films a year, and now we're doing more than 20. So it's been well taken, the law, nationally speaking, as well as abroad. And listening to what I'm listening here, I'm asking myself whether there's any opportunity at present. We're trying to suit a certain aspect of the law to contemplate co-productions at 50-50. No more, no less, 50-50. These are $4 million you play to and I play to. So therefore, I'm asking whether there's any opportunity of we talking together later directly, the possibility that things could be done together, and everyone contributing. Yes, definitely. So we're interested in exploring and seeking. The truth is, our working mechanism is to talk to everyone. So therefore, at the end of the meeting, if we've got the opportunity for a minute, we could get yes, of course. Thank you.
¿Alguna pregunta más?
Any further questions?
Pues
I would like to ask you something. I see that we're in the distribution of video under demand, videos and TV. Telefónica Studios is going to be a production umbrella. It's going to be the umbrella of all the distribution you have. And are you going to promote traditional distribution as well? I'm not too sure whether I've understood your question correctly, but I'm going to try to give you an explanation. Correct me if I'm mistaken, however. We distribute in that part of pay TV in our own services. This doesn't mean that we veto and that it can be in other services. I'll give you an example. We have our own pay TV service, which includes TV channels and demand video, video on demand, at home or outside the home, in Spain and outside Spain. In that sense, we are talking about distributing. What we're doing in each of the different projects that we get involved in is to guarantee that our customers in Movistar television will have the content matter in a different way. This doesn't mean that they are not in other platforms, and you can change the current distribution channels that say that they're not in the cinema theaters, or the film is not on TV, in open TV, or with the windows that we're used to watching them at present. Yes, but what I would like to ask you was precisely that, whether you had the intention of entering in to compete into the traditional distribution sector. In theatrical, no, not for the time being. But you never know. But not for the time being. Slowly but surely. Let's do things very slowly. Take one step at a time. If there aren't any further questions, thank you very much to all of you for having come along, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you.